What is good, YouTube? It's Infamous, and today we are back and we're talking about the Metalstorm patch notes for the March 25th update that's coming live into Metalstorm, obviously on March 25th. I wanted to give my live reaction. This is very shortly after, it's like 2 hours after it was posted. Almost exactly 2 hours actually after it was posted, and I wanted to kind of give my feedback on this and what I think about it live. Really haven't read through it very much, so you guys are going to get my raw, just initial impressions on it. I do want to apologize for the lack of content. I know that I've not been posting that much lately, and that's just purely because of how busy I've been with work and family and the farm and stuff. So again, I do apologize for that, guys. I will try to get his content out when I can, but really I can't promise any kind of a schedule or anything like that. It is what it is, right? That's just life. So let's just hop right in. And basically here we have a balance adjustment. I did read this, and long story short, as they said, instead of making big changes, we're taking smaller steps. I agree with that. They don't want to go too much in one direction or another. They want to take it in smaller steps. I agree. I think that's great. Um, but one thing I will say, and the devs have never seemed to really get this, is why attack aircraft are so strong, and that's because of their maps. Their maps are designed to force head-on engagements, and attack aircraft are always going to be strong in head-on engagements because that is literally the modus operandi of attack aircraft, right? That's why you take an attack aircraft, right? It is what they do. They are strong frontal assault aircraft. And so if your maps encourage that kind of gameplay, and they do, these head-on confrontations, these conflict points that these maps do, attack aircraft are going to be strong purely based upon that. Now, some of the more recent maps like Stone Forest and stuff, they kind of mitigate the head-on style a little bit more, but they also then open up interceptors. And Stone Forest, as we all know, if you've played it for any amount of time, Stone Forest is a horrendous map to be fighting interceptors on because it's just so open once you get out of the middle. It's really kind of a nightmare. Let's get into the planes that were affected. A4 Skyhawk. I do agree that this plane needs to be kind of tweaked a little bit, and they said they're dialing it back after it received some buffs. HP being reduced, that's fair. Rockets. I don't really think the rockets are that part of the plane that was overpowered. I actually think that it was the mobility of the plane. The mobility of the plane, it was able to be so quick and to have that much tankiness, to have the tankiness that it does, and to be able to get around like it does is what makes the plane strong, not its rockets, really. If I'm being honest, rockets are strong, period, just because they can, crush people in the head on. But you got to be close for it, right? It was just the ability for the plane to position so quickly. The A10. I don't know that I agree with this nerf that they're proposing for the A10. And they said it right here, like, despite feeling like a shock to some. Well, duh. If they've flown the A10 at all, it's right now the A10 it's the slowest plane in Metalstorm, hands down. It is the slowest. I did check on this the other day with a friend who actually asked that question. It is the slowest. It has a pretty mediocre, if not one of the worst roll rates already. And then look, it said roll rate has also been reduced. They're getting it again. Why? Why? Uh, no, don't do that. Turn rate, I kind of understand that. And HP, I kind of understand that. But to nerf roll rate, no. It could maybe use even maybe a slight power to weight increase, slight power to weight increase, not much, but slight. Like, I know it's at like 98 feet per second right now. You might could take it up to like a 110 or something like that. Give it a slight power to weight increase. If you're gonna nerf its roll rate, give it a slight power to weight, right? If you're going to do this, if you don't do that, leave it as it is, right? Don't touch it. Rockets, it's the same damage reduction that comes to these rockets up here. It comes to these rockets right here. I agree that if you're going to do it to one, you need to do it to the others that have the same rockets. That being said, the rockets weren't the most overpowered part of the plane. What made the A10 the A10, or what makes rather the A10 the A10 is the gun. And again, it's the maps that make attackers really strong. Mig-19 Farmer, which this same as A4. Right? No, it's not. Max damage. Oh yeah. this that's going to do nothing to the Mig-19. Really, the Mig-19 is the big winner, like out of this whole thing. A slight nerf to the cannons. I mean, okay, but the Mig-19 is strong because it doesn't have to have a lock, and if you're decently good with those beam riding missiles, you just can slap people on a head on, like with no warning. Like basically, it's like rockets that are guided. So yeah, Mig-19 Farmer is still strong. Like, okay, Su-22 Fitter, nothing is really happening to this. Su-22 Frogfoot, this thing is getting nerfed into the ground, basically. HP reduction again, turn rate reduction again. Roll rate has also been reduced again. Um, Reticle range, I do agree that the gun needs to, like, had I changed anything on this plane from where it is currently at, maybe the range on the rockets slightly reduced, and the gun to be just brought back into line a little bit, and that's really all I would have done with it. Not not all of this. This I think makes this plane a little too like a little too bad. That makes sense. I don't want the plane to be unplayable. I don't think it's going to be unplayable. I think that it's going to just be a shell compared to what it used to be. And I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, thank God," right? But the fact of the matter is, right, we don't want planes to be like completely useless. There it's playing. You still want to be able to play it. If you take it to level 20, you still want it to be playable. And I think a lot of people did take this to level 20. I still want it to be playable. I just don't want it to be nearly what it was. And what made it what it was that insane gun, its insane maneuverability that it had at one point in time, now no longer has, by the way, and the sniper rockets. You get rid of those three aspects, or you moderate them in such a way to where they're not such a big deal anymore, and suddenly this plane becomes average, if not maybe slightly above average, but nothing like it was. Su-34 fullback, why? This one here, it's not getting the nerfs like the A10, but I don't think this thing was crazy. HP reduction by 5, that's really nothing, and rockets getting reduced by 10. That's quite a significant damage reduction, I'm going to say, but it did get a rate of fire increase. Look at that rate of fire increase. 6.7 to 8 seconds. That's actually like a massive fire rate increase, to where this plane could low key be really, really good now. Fullback could be like better than A10. I mean, I'm just saying, like the fullback could be the big daddy right now of the attackers, considering everything that's just happening up here. Yeah, it's not as tanky as this A10 anymore, but it does get the HP, um, and it is losing damage by 10 instead of by 5. But that rate of fire increase, though, with the amount of rockets that it has, uh, I mean, you're just going to be shooting so many more rockets at the end of the day. Uh, this is buffs, right? But damage reduced by 5, blast radius reduced, but a fire rate increase overall, to the A6 Intruder. I maybe I don't know how this is really going to affect the A6. The A6 to me has been on the back burner ever since they introduced the GR3 and the Su-25, right? Like nobody really paid attention to the A6 after that. Even though it does have the radar jammer, which is a huge team ability, I just nobody ever really cared for it after that. F4 Phantom, wasn't this like the third time they've buffed this thing? HP increase, ideal turning speed reduced. Okay, 666 alert. Um, Cruising altitude trait, most useless trait, right? Nobody ever goes up to cruising altitude because if you go high, you die. Simple as that, right? They apparently don't know that. Whatever. Similar to A6, damage reduced by 5, blast radius reduced 7. Oh, whoopee freaking do. But that fire rate increase to the Super Saber, low key Super Saber, gonna be busted, right? Like it's already really good, but that Super Saber is, I like this plane, pound for pound, hangar level for hangar level, one of the best planes in the game. Change my mind. I dare you. This thing can just do it all. It's like a super soldier. It's just such a good plane. It can do so much. Um, J10. I don't know why they think that they're going to spook themselves by overtuning the J10. I don't know. They did increase, yeah, because that's a crazy increase in damage, guys. 108 to 115. Whoa, guys are really overdoing it. Don't spook yourselves now. Phantom missile ability. 10 degrees on the Phantom missile ability. I mean, sure, I guess, but like, does it really matter? I don't think so. Uh, I don't think people really, if they fall for it, yeah, but I don't like it works. But I don't think it's like the most impactful ability ever, right? Like you can draw flares out of one person, but unless they're already low health or something, I mean, you might be able to get an extra kill or two out of it in a match, which could be the difference. But once again, not the biggest piece of news ever, right? Uh, Jaguar, damage reduced. Remember, these are the list of buffs, by the way. Damage reduced, blast radius reduced, but a fire rate increase. Um, I think the Jaguar actually sits in a decent spot right now. I don't think it's like horrendously overpowered like it once was, but I also don't think that it's super weak like it was after the one set of nerfs. And so this fire rate increase, I'm surprised that they're really doing it even at all. I think that like kind of where it is right now pre this buff is decent enough. I don't know why they're even really doing it, to be honest. Um, Again, what metrics are they using? Like they're not really telling us that they say that they have their own internal stats and or feedback that they're getting from the players. Okay, which players? Like I'm a fairly high level player, and I can tell you that like some of these buffs and nerfs don't really make a lot of sense. Having played these planes, having these planes and playing them, like I mean they're good, but they're not like whoa amazing. Um, Mig-21 fish bed, same buff actually as the J10, 108 to 115. Whoa, don't go crazy now. Uh, a little spice to its trait and speed. Got to go fast. Top speed increase. That's a bit of a top speed increase. That's pretty good. And the cruising altitude reduced. So, in other words, yeah, like that's not really going to change how this plane plays. It's not. It's just not. This thing's not going to really do anything. That's not going to do anything to these. The MiG-31 Foxhound's going to play the same as before. Mirage F1, like the F1 is not winning as many matches as you might suspect. Well, if you have new players coming into the game and they're all picking up the Mirage F1, like I guess maybe not, but you realize that the one issue this game has is player retention. Most people make it up to like hangar level 10, maybe 12 max, and then they dip out of the game. That's just kind of the way it is for a lot of players. They don't have any stick to itness. Um, and so that's why we never see like for example the Hornets and the F-35 that all three of those, both the F-18s, the F-18A and the F-18F and the F-35 need buffs. They need to be brought up into modern times of this game, and yet those planes are still sitting in the past. But you don't see them on this list, and the reason why is because the players that get up to them, because they're in the higher hangar levels, are more experienced players, and so their statistics look fairly good compared to everything else. But in reality, they're rather mediocre planes in the grand scheme of things. So they're just not getting touched. But oh look, the F1. Escape Artist is getting a buff, it makes missiles less likely, slightly less likely to hit you when the ability is active. It already was like basically invulnerable to bullets when you have that ability active. Like you still can get hit with bullets, but basically it makes it nearly impossible to get hit with bullets um, when you're flying away under Escape Artist with the F1. So yeah, definitely I think a very interesting fixes here. All in all, I'm very mid on this update. I think the stuff just didn't make a lot of sense. Planes that I think need to be on this list didn't make the list, like the Hornets and the F-35, in my opinion. All three of those needed to be on this list, various ways. I think the Sukhois need a flight model rebalance. I think they need to be adjusted for gameplay. But that's just me, right? But that's not on this list because again, they're higher hangar levels, and people that make them up there, they make those planes look good when really they need buffs. So yeah, like I said, interesting setup here. I don't agree with the A10 nerfs, even though I'm not a fan of attackers by any means. I'm not a fan of this. I I think they're maybe taking the Su-25 for outfit a slight far. I don't like the plane and the way that it entered the game. Obviously, you know, problematic, problematically overpowered planes. Like you put it into the game, you know, yeah, they basically just admitted that they made a mistake. So yeah, it took them this long, right? Anyway, that's my opinions, guys. Hope you appreciate it, and let me know in the comment section if you agree, disagree, what your thoughts are, and what you guys think they should be doing about these updates and planes that you think need buffs or nerfs if they've missed them. And until next time, pilots, clear skies.